sip some champagne because this one is going to cause a stir. I expect this one to cause a stir. Yes, this one is going to call for you to think outside of the box. Mm-hmm. Can you? Wait a minute. There are some crazy things. Wait a minute. I am sorry, you guys. This is bad. My goodness. Can you believe another YouTube thing just jumped up on my screen and just, my apologies. My apologies. You never know what's going to happen here on the Big Up YuSelf Show. But listen, I expect I'm going to be drunk. This is champagne. I expect I'm going to be drunk by the time we finish this episode, right? Because, I was asking you, can you stretch your mind far enough to even entertain this discussion of marrying yourself, of me marrying myself? Let's go. So you got your polygamists, you got your polyamorists, you got your monogamists. I can't pronounce these words very well, I'm gonna try. And all sorts of other ists and ishses. And now you have your sologamists. So while I was doing the research for this show, I came upon all kinds, so many different relationship categories or segments. I didn't know that there were so many different types of relationships out there, types of romantic relationships. But you have all of these, right? And you have sologamists, sologamy, people who marry themselves. And this one is getting fierce kickback, worse than same-sex marriage, worse than polygamy, worse than all of the others. They are kicking back, they're pushing back hard on people who decide to marry themselves. But why though? Why? What is your, hey there, this is my first time catching you live. Yay! Welcome, Fat. Welcome, Kenny Apple. Say what now? What's up, Winsome? Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Let me have a sip of champagne. Listen. So there is a lot of pushback against people who want to marry themselves or people who marry themselves. But I'm questioning why, right? Let me ask you, what is your initial reaction to people wanting to marry themselves? What comes to your mind when you hear of someone wanting to marry themselves? What do you think, right? Would you be willing to hear out a person for choosing this way of life? Let's talk about it. So, I started shopping for the ring. Oh, that says I would totally do it. Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Wow. I think deep self-love and a little quirk. Oh my gosh, we're not so crazy. Vanity. Oh, Donna says vanity comes to her mind. Well, okay, all right, let's talk about it. Vanity comes to your mind. All right, Fed said she would do it because she's thinking about self love. All right, it's not a bad idea. Oh my gosh. So we do have some open minded people here. I am surprised and pleased to see that we do have some open minded people here. So I started shopping for the ring, right? I found one I liked at Zales. Now, this is kind of like the same ring that I had picked out some years ago when I was engaged, or I thought I was engaged to a dude. Girl, let's not even go down that road, right? So I found a ring, and I figured I would have the engagement party on Valentine's Day, right? And I figure I'll have a destination wedding in Jamaica. And I'm working on the guest list and everything. And I'm thinking of a destination wedding because, well, first of all, I really don't believe in large weddings. I really don't. I think it's a waste of money. That's my opinion. I think it's a waste of money to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a wedding and going to debt for years, paying off a wedding. Me, I'd be satisfied. Take me down to the courthouse. Let me sign whatever paper I need to sign. Put a nice ring on my finger. Apparently, I have a thing for rings. And give me a nice vacation. That's how I would want to spend my wedding dollars. But anyway, I was thinking of doing a destination wedding to myself because to make it like official, to make it real in people's minds that I'm marrying myself, you know, because if I married myself and I just went down to the courthouse and put a ring on it and, you know, went on vacation by myself, it would just look like one of my other solo travels. So I would have an actual ceremony, and I'm feeling like it would be less expensive if I did a destination wedding and invited just a few friends and family. And so I'm working on the guest list and everything, and you know, thinking of some open-minded people that I could invite, and wondering what my family is gonna think. Would they even show up? Are they gonna be embarrassed? All that kind of thing. One friend said she would attend, but she would need enough time to get prepared, right, for the destination wedding in Jamaica. But then she thought about it and then decided that she couldn't support the idea, right? So at this point, I was going to ask you what you think about me marrying myself. And let me see what you're saying in the comments. It's not a bad idea. Okay, when I hear it, I think a deep connection, commitment to self. Absolutely not. That's the idea. I've already been on a decentering men journey. Whoa. So why not? Whoa. Decentering men. My word. Yeah, you know, ever since we were little kids, we were fed the idea that we were supposed to grow up and get married, and like, you know, getting married would be the ultimate. That would be the thing that would satisfy us and make us whole. It's like, you know, they made it something that we had to aspire towards, like our lives wouldn't be complete without getting married, right? So I think it's amazing that we've come to a place now where we don't need marriage to fulfill us, right? Who cares what people think? It's about you and making you happy. Oh my God, you guys are on it today. You guys are on it today. Let's see. You have to convince a Jamaican official to do it. You know how some of our people are. Yes, I do know. I do know. All right. So my friend said, she couldn't support the idea. So anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Big Up YuSelf Show. On this show, we discuss some thought-provoking, inspirational, eye-opening topics live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Our mission is to uphold survivors of trauma. And you know, who among us hasn't suffered some form of trauma? Some of us mask it better than others, but we're all carrying something. We're all hiding something. And the thing is, we think that we are alone with our thing that we are masking. And you know what? I'm willing to bet that more people have considered what we're talking about today and they would just never admit it. Right? So this platform is a place where survivors can share their stories, find support, healing, validation, upliftment, affirmation, permission to be original and to pursue the original plan that they were created for. Also, I invite you to subscribe and join our community of originals. We are originals over here. There's nothing like us on YouTube. Nobody does it like we do. The Big Up YuSelf Show is in a class of its own, right? I hear it all the time. There's nothing like your show out here on YouTube. And even just last week, when we did the Phenomenal Woman reading, the comments were, I've never seen anything like this. So yeah, we're different over here. So turn on your notification bell so you don't miss an episode. And then I want you to emancipate those little fingers, these things, these little numbers. Emancipate them. Press the like button. Press the thumbs up button. Leave a comment. Show your support. You know, even in the comment section, even if you can't think of something to say, just say wow, or just leave a heart, or just say hey, because it helps me a lot. And we want this channel to grow and reach other survivors who need the kind of content that we're creating. So please help by liking and leaving comments. Let me see what Donna says. To marry self is self-love, self-centered and selfishness about self, which is knowing self before giving self to someone. Girl, all that self, it's about self. It's about getting to know who you are for you, for living for you, girl. Yes. Yes. So at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you more about my plans for marrying myself, or if I am going to. Anyway, sologamists marry themselves for various reasons, often as a symbolic gesture of self-love, like you guys have said, self-acceptance, and personal empowerment. Breaking societal norms. Sologamy can be a way to challenge traditional societal norms and expectations around relationships and marriage. Some of us are just born rebels. We gonna do what they tell us not to do, right? We gonna defy their orders and their standards, and we're gonna set our own trends. We are rebels. We're gonna do what society tells us we can't do, right? So sologamists, people who, you know, I'm having trouble pronouncing the word, people who marry themselves go against the grain of society. For some of them, it's closure or healing, right? In some cases, sologamy may be a way for individuals to find closure or heal from past relationships or experiences. Most of the women I found in my research that marry themselves are healing from past abusive relationships. And they're like, no more. I'm going to take care of me, right? So that's the motivation for a lot of the women who marry themselves. And so many people have been in failed marriages and relationships and vow to never be hurt like that again. And so it could be termed a response to trauma, right? And each person's motivation for marrying themselves is unique to their own journey and their own circumstances. People who have suffered relational and emotional trauma and who are serious about becoming whole could go as far as marrying themselves. The trauma response to sologamy should not be discounted or ridiculed. People may be in real pain, severe pain, and need an outlet for that pain. Marrying themselves is a way of them healing that pain. It's a way of them saving themselves, right? So marrying oneself could be a matter of self-preservation. So let us not be so quick to ridicule or discount a person who chooses to marry themselves. When you've been an outcast, in exile, I'm talking about trauma survivors, roaming around in the wilderness, lost, being tossed and fro in the wild, and you finally come to a place of rest. When you've been repeatedly traumatized by people who you are seeking love from, when you've been betrayed and kicked to the curb, when after you have lost yourself, lost your identity, you have no self-esteem, no self-respect. When you've come through all the sludge and muck and you find shelter and a resting place with water and food and friends, you want to hold on to this way of life. You don't want to ever go back to where you're coming from. When you dig through the dirt and find you again, when you brush off the dirt and where you once saw, you thought you were ugly, when they were abusing you and you felt like you were ugly and you were worth nothing and you hated yourself. And now you're learning self-love and self-respect. You want to hold on to that, right? It's like a child with a new toy, holding it close to him, yelling, mine, mine. You ever see those kids with their toy? Mine. You can't have it. They're protecting that toy fiercely, afraid that you'll take it, asserting that it's mine. You can't have it. I won't let go. That's us reacting to finding ourselves again and loving what we found. So if it means we go as far as to marry ourselves, that's us celebrating finding ourselves again, right? So right now I'm in the process of redefining my relationship with myself. Let me see what's going on in the comments. Hey family, popping in for a few minutes. Hey Marilyn. So glad to see you, Marilyn. Go against the patriarchal structure of society. Yes. Yes, Big Up YuSelf Trauma Group. Perfect. There's our trauma group. We're starting our first support group April is it the 30th or the 31st? There'll be more information coming on that. So I have a deep commitment to the growth and empowerment of this new developing person, right? That's where my idea of self-marriage came from. It's definitely not a look at me, I need attention kind of gimmick. It's not about, superficial vanity. It's just meant to be a symbol of my commitment to myself to never lose me again. And when I first mentioned the idea to a friend, she told me to search online to see if anyone else had ever married themselves. I said, oh, that's an idea. Let me see. So lo and behold, yeah, people do marry themselves. And it's becoming more and more popular. I'm married and on a healing journey of self-discovery and self-love again because I lost myself in my last career and also in my marriage. That's what happens to us. And it's a beautiful thing. Excuse me. It's a miraculous thing when you can find yourself again. When you dig through all the dirt and the muck and the darkness, and you find you appearing again, it's a miraculous thing. And you have every right to put every effort you can into developing that new person and letting them blossom and become who they were originally intended to be. Yes. Let's see. That's a good commitment to self. Never lose me again. Never. 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 I will never lose me again. And if it means walking myself down the aisle, I have no issue with a person who wants to do that. All right. But sologamy is not recognized now as a legal form of marriage, but I guarantee you one day it will be. I guarantee it's going to be one. We never imagined that there would be same-sex marriage, right? We hear people even wanting to marry their dogs. And listen, the way society is going, that's going to be legal one day too. So I believe at some point in the future, it will be legal and accepted for a person to marry themselves. So I found some videos on people marrying themselves. And of course, they were the most hateful comments, the most awful comments. Go look and see. Go look and see the kind of comments that show up for people who want to marry themselves. Oh, they're narcissistic. Oh, they just need attention. Oh, they're crazy. Oh, they're depraved. And I'm putting it mildly. Go see for yourself the awful comments that these people get. Right? And I'm thinking, like, if they're so wrong for marrying themselves, what makes you so right to be saying such demeaning things about another human in pain? So my thoughts about marrying myself were to support my empowerment, right? To being able to stand on my own when others abandon me. To love and accept and respect me, to honor my journey, my wisdom, my intuition, my fight, my victories. To overcome the ravages of trauma till there's no evidence of the vestiges of trauma anymore. And I'm not saying that there won't be continued responses to trauma, right? But I'm saying at some point, I'm working for it to be at some point that it is not readily visible. So I'm going to go into the 3 reasons that I was considering marrying myself and 3 reasons you might want to marry yourselves. 1, self-acceptance and self-love. Marrying yourself can be a powerful statement of self-acceptance and self-love. It signifies a commitment to prioritize your own well-being and happiness regardless of external circumstances. Yes, I'm freeing myself of the power that you had over me when you were able to bully me and walk over me. You can't do that to me anymore. I'm freeing myself of feeling like I need to continue pleasing you as you abuse me. I'm freeing myself from that, from people pleasing. I'm loving and accepting myself in all of my glory, in all of my shortcomings. I'm coming to the place where I truly believe that I am enough. I am enough. I am worthy of love and respect. And because I am able to give myself this love and respect, I'm not willing to take any crap from you anymore. This is what I'm saying when I talk about marrying myself, standing up for myself and showing up for me, right? It's got nothing to do with society, nothing to do with the next person. It's about me becoming the fullness of me. And Marilyn is advertising the Speak Your Piece venting sessions. I do have those venting sessions. If you want to talk about anything that's on your mind, please set up a session with me. And you know what? Even if you don't need someone to talk to, you may know someone who needs to talk to somebody. Set up a session for them, okay? All right. Like our good sis Stephanie always say, treat yourself with loving kindness. Yes. Treat yourself with loving kindness. And do it for yourself first, because you are the first example of how others will treat you. Right? Yeah. So I'm not going to be having no Stockholm syndrome anymore, trying to please you who's walking over me. Second reason, personal growth and empowerment. Through the process of marrying yourself, you can embark on a journey of personal growth and empowerment. It challenges you to define your values, your goals, your boundaries, and to live authentically according to them. And that's my thing. I'm all about living authentically. I want to be who Winsome was called to be, who she was created to be. And I want that to be loud and clear. I want people to have no, what is the word I want to say? Come, help me, brain. Help me. No, I don't want people to be confused about who I am. Right? I want my life and my choices to be a revelation of who I am and what's going on up here. So a marriage to myself would underscore my commitment to personal growth and empowerment. And I love that I'm constantly growing. I am committed to growing and growing and growing every day. Every day I'm growing. And the third reason is embracing independence and freedom. Freedom! Marrying yourself celebrates independence and freedom. You can make independent decisions. You can be free in the decisions you make for yourself, the choices that you make for yourself. It emphasizes that you are complete and whole on your own. You do not need another person to complete you. If you're married, get whole within that marriage. If you're not, work on becoming whole within that marriage. If you're not married yet, work on becoming whole for yourself so you can attract a whole partner. As long as you're not whole, you're going to attract you're going to attract some broken people or people who are going to have to nurture you to wholeness. But for people who are considering marrying themselves, embracing independence and freedom is another draw to that kind of life. You're capable of fulfilling your own needs and desires without depending on someone else for validation or happiness. Right? So those are pretty much the 3 reasons I was thinking of marrying myself, and 3 reasons you might want to consider marrying yourself. But let me drink some wine. I've done a lot of thinking. And I want to be honest with myself. This has nothing to do with anybody else. This is all about me. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm satisfied that I can do all this self-love, all this commitment to myself, all this independence and freedoms. I can do all of that without actually marrying myself, without officially having a public ceremony, right? I've come to the conclusion that I can do that. I can be committed to myself and my self-growth without actually marrying myself, because 2, in marrying myself with a ceremony, it kind of was to show other people how committed I was to myself. But I don't need to show anybody how committed I am to my growth. It's a journey between me. It's my journey. It's a journey between me and my God, my universe. So there I came upon some problems with marrying myself. Some problems that I don't care to work out at this time. One of them is this. What if I meet someone that I deem worthy to establish a partnership with, and I'm married to myself? Would I have to divorce myself? How would that work? Tell me, how would that work? I'm already married. I'm married to myself. You know how some women say that they're married to Jesus too? If you're married to Jesus, you're pretty much married to yourself, right? But if I'm walking around with a ring on my finger and this idea that I'm married to myself, does that close the door on partnership with another person? Would I have to divorce myself to marry someone else? So now the relationship that I worked so hard to build with myself, I'd have to rent asunder, divorce myself. That thought became too complicated a concept for me to fathom. It just became too complicated. I can't figure it out. I didn't like the idea of doing so much work and then divorcing myself. That didn't sit well with me. I don't know how I could be married to myself and then married to another person. And no, I couldn't figure it out. It should, since you made a commitment to yourself. Oh my gosh. Right? Then if I wear a wedding ring, right? If I wear a wedding ring, I'm married to myself and I wear a wedding ring. It might prevent a suitor from approaching me, right? It might say I'm unavailable. And no, that's not the message I don't want to send. That's not the message I don't want to send, right? And then, of course, the social stigma. Marrying yourself can be viewed as unconventional or even narcissistic. I don't care too much what they say, leading to potential social stigma and judgment from others. I don't care too much what others think, right? But it's something that comes up in the conversation. But then there are legal and financial implications. In many legal systems, marriage is a legal contract that confers certain rights and obligations. Marrying oneself would create confusion or legal challenges regarding issues such as taxes, inheritance, and healthcare decision making. So I thought about this. If someone had to make the decision to pull the plug if I'm dying in the hospital, I'm brain dead, I can't speak for myself, and I'm married to myself, who is going to be the person to give permission to pull the plug or not? How would I be a responsible spouse to myself? Was a question that I asked myself. I can't be a spouse to myself. The laws are not set up for that yet. When I fill out paperwork and they ask to list my spouse, am I going to list myself as a spouse? Laws are not set up to recognize that yet, right? Plus, who gets the honeydew list? Who gets the honeydew list in this relationship? And so there's the perception of completeness. While self-love and acceptance are important, some may argue that marrying oneself reinforces the idea that a person is only complete or whole when in a romantic relationship, potentially overlooking the value of other types of relationships and self-fulfillment. Yeah. So I go and marry myself, and I might be sending the message that you need to be in some sort of relationship to be whole and complete. It's kind of complicated, and it became a little too complicated for me. And so all in all, for myself, after thinking about all these things, I've now rejected the idea of marrying myself for myself. If you want to, and you have good reasons, and it makes sense to me, I'll support you. I'll come to your wedding. If the reasons you want to marry yourself make sense to me, I'll come to your wedding. And I'm not going to condemn anyone who wants to marry themselves. I just feel like it won't work for me. After all this, I've come to the conclusion that marrying myself will not work for me. I can be committed to myself. I am committed to myself, to self-love, to self-growth, to self-development, to authenticity, to being whole by myself. I'm okay with never marrying someone else. I'm okay. Marriage has never been like a priority for me. Never. It has never been. And it's not like I kneel down and I pray, God sent me a partner. It's just that I am open to the possibility because I know it's a possibility, but it's not something that I feel like I need or something that I'm even pursuing. And so I've decided that I will not go ahead and marry myself. I'm just as committed to wholeness and self-growth and self-empowerment without putting a ring on it. Right? So that's the conclusion of the argument. It's marrying self similar to being a nun and committing self to a covenant. Wow. Marrying oneself similar to being a nun. I think in being a nun, I think you're kind of married to God, right? But I do feel, and I said it earlier, that if you're married to Jesus, I feel like you may as well be married to yourself. So that's an idea. It sounds like symbolism for some people. Yeah, symbolism. And that's where I was taking it in the beginning when I started thinking about it. I was doing it as a symbol of all these things that I think about myself and admire about myself and want to become. But I don't feel like I need to go ahead with a married, with a ceremony and a ring, and up to have that commitment, to live that commitment to myself. So I gave you reasons. Those of you out there, I gave you reasons why it could be a good idea for you to do. But I also gave you the reasons why I decided I'm not going to do it. I want to thank you guys for showing up in the chat. I want to thank you for not knocking me down before hearing me out. I want to thank you for not rejecting me before hearing me out. I want to thank you for your participation in the chat. And this concludes another thought-provoking, controversial topic of the Big Up YuSelf Show. And I will be seeing you guys again next week at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, Marilyn, so much. And H&D, H&D, yes, treating myself with loving kindness daily. Oh my gosh, H&D, you were here. You kept quiet the whole time. You kept quiet the whole time, sis. All right. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and join us next week at 3 p.m. Thank you, guys. Bye.